Hi, good evening and welcome to the Meet Our Students session at the Institute of Continuing Education at the University of Cambridge. My name is Dr Claire McCafferty and I'm the Director of Academic Programmes. I'm delighted to be able to introduce some of our students who are currently studying with us, who are ready and able to answer the questions that you might have about courses. So I will just go round and ask that each of the students can tell your name and also the course that you're studying, please. So if I can start with Maud, please.
Yeah, hello guys. I'm Muad Mazahir, and I'm doing a postgraduate certificate in philosophy at ICE currently.
Thank you, Maud. And Joy?
Hi, I'm Joy McAlpine-Black. I'm doing the PG Cert in Teaching Creative Writing.
Thank you, Joy. And Lucy?
Hi there, I'm Lucy. I completed the PG Cert in Teaching Creative Writing last year, so I finished it last summer.
Thank you, Lucy. And Dulcie may join at some point, and when she does join, then we'll be able to introduce. So thank you very much for taking the time to join us, participants and students. Thank you for joining us tonight so that we can go through this session and answer any questions that the participants might have about the course. I can see that Dulcie has joined. Can you hear us? We might come back to Dulcie. Okay, so what we're looking to do tonight, as I say, is answer any questions that you may have about our courses. And what I would ask you to do, we do have some set questions that I will ask to our students, but if you have any other questions, please do feel free to submit those into the Q&A so that we can answer those as we go through. Hi Dulcie, can you hear us okay?
Hi, yes, I'm sorry about that.
No problem at all. And could you please just introduce yourself and the course that you're studying, please?
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. Apologies for being late. I'm currently on the postgraduate certificate course in philosophy.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so just to start us off, it would be great if I could ask, first of all, has the course met your expectations? And if I could start with Lucy, please.
Yes, absolutely. So I finished my course last year and it really surpassed my expectations in terms of what I wanted to get out of it, how in-depth it was, and yeah, how I was challenged, and I was very pleasantly surprised yeah, by the work that we explored, by the approach of all the lecturers. So yes.
Excellent, thank you. And maybe if I can ask someone who's studied or is studying philosophy, Muad, if you could answer that question for me as well. Did the course meet your expectations?
Yeah, it's absolutely. In fact, I previously did 2 undergraduate certificates in philosophy at ICE as well. So I was already familiar with the institution's commitment to providing a structured and intellectually rigorous learning environment, and the PG Cert continues to uphold those standards. Yeah, so like I mentioned, the structure of the courses have been is something that I really find that I found really nice, because it is both structured but also allows a little bit of inbuilt flexibility for you to explore different areas of philosophy that you're particularly interested in, which has been something that I've been really excited about. And then yeah, also the continuous support from the tutors have been really helpful as well, especially considering that I came from a technical background, so like I had no experience writing philosophy essays or any liberal art essays. So everything was pretty new to me, and yeah, the guidance and the tutoring has been really helpful, and yeah, and overall, yeah, I've been really pleased with the course.
Thank you so much. And if I could ask, Joy, why did you decide to study with the Institute of Continuing Education?
Well, it sounds like a Maud, you know, that I actually had experienced ICE before, and I knew that I was in a safe pair of hands, that they're very committed to taking care of their students and supporting them and seeing them through. And also, I mean, with the teaching creative writing, it's a unique course, you know. I mean, you're not going to find it anywhere else. So there is nowhere else, I don't think, that you can get this course. So it's you know, one of a kind, and it's excellent. And yeah, that's why.
Thank you. And Dulcie, from a philosophy perspective, why did you decide to study at the Institute of Continuing Education?
So I actually was looking for an introductory course that was at postgraduate level. And I was struggling to see anything that would be suitable for me and adaptable for me, because I will work full time. So I was doing a bit of research, and I found the course at ICE online and looked into the curriculum, looked into the format and the structure, and it was just perfect because of, you know, a few weeks apart at the weekend. And then the curriculum for me was spot on because of my background isn't philosophy. I'm very new to the subject, so it just felt approachable, and to that, and it actually has been. It's been just what I was looking for. So that's why I chose to do the course at ICE, because it just checked all the boxes for me.
Excellent, thank you. We do have a question in the chat from Sarah, who's looking to study the MST in coaching, and is asking if there's a residency aspect. So with our MSTs, we do tend to have residential aspects, but I don't think any of our students are international students that we have on tonight that would be able to answer the question of what it's like for an international students. Are you all home students? Yeah. So in terms of how it works with the residentials, you tend to have, I think in coaching there's 3 residentials, and they're a week long, so you do get to know your cohort. But Sarah, if you wanted to send a question through the website, we can direct you to the academic director for coaching, and they can answer specific questions about that course. So if I could ask if any of you are planning on following the pathway for your course. So are you thinking about maybe moving, if there's a diploma or indeed the MST in either of the courses that you're studying, whether you're thinking about maybe moving on to that pathway? Let's see, who would like to answer that? All right, I'll select someone. Dulcie, would you be able to address that question? Have you thought about moving on to the next level of study?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, as I said, I've got no background in philosophy, and this course was the perfect introduction and stepping stone. I mean, before I even started, I was almost considering just doing an A-level just to get a sense of the subject, and this was amazing. But it's really made me feel confident enough and excited to continue on in my journey about on the subject. And it is absolutely in my ambitions to progress on to potentially an MA in philosophy, because of my long-term goal is to, you know, end up in doing a doctoral course in integrating philosophy with my background in law. So I think that is absolutely in my sights, but I am at the moment struggling to find something that could bridge me in that particular goal, because of I don't have an undergraduate in philosophy. So and in my searches I've seen that most places do want an undergraduate in philosophy. So I'm trying to see where I can utilize this certificate to help me get some points to effectively move on into my further studies, because that's absolutely my goal.
Fantastic, thank you. And Joy, how have you thought about perhaps moving on to the next level of study within your course?
Well, I've already done it.
So I've done it. Fantastic.
So I did a master's in creative writing, but the PG Cert in teaching creative writing, it follows that. You know, so it is a pathway. I mean, it doesn't have to follow a master's at all. You can come from all sorts of backgrounds, but it made sense for me to do that next, because I've written the book, and I'm getting it published, and I'm becoming a writer, establishing that as my career. So doing the teaching of creative writing was the follow-on. So I think it is the pathway on for me.
Excellent, thank you. And we do have a question in the Q&A asking about deciding between whether you want to first start with the UG certificate or the PG certificate. And this is particularly for Moad around philosophy. So what was your reasoning for choosing to start with the undergraduate certificate?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I had no background whatsoever in philosophy, and I came from a technical background from computer science. So I had no even experience writing any sort of essay. So I thought the UG Cert was the best place to start. So I did the first UG Cert. And afterwards, I had a conversation with Alex, who's our director of the course, as to whether I should move on to the PG Cert or to the undergraduate certificate. So Alex basically pointed out that if you did the second undergraduate certificate, you would you would increase the breadth of your knowledge on the foundations of philosophy. You could do that, or you could just move on to a postgraduate certificate, which would be a step forward and more in depth. But I did feel like increasing the breadth would at that point would be better. So I chose to do the second undergraduate certificate, which was on a different set of topics. And then I felt like I had a good foundation to move forward. So I wasn't in too much of a rush. So yeah, I thought I'd do both undergraduate certificates and then move on to the postgraduate.
Thank you. And I think, this is key. This is what Institute of Continuing Education is all about, that it is open access, and we don't always have prerequisites. Of course, there are some courses that do, because it depends on the particular career path. However, what we do is we recommend, just like Alex did with you, Moad, this is what we think you should do. This would, probably fit your circumstances better based on your experience or based on your previous qualifications, but it is always up to the learner to decide which is the correct pathway or which level that they want to start with. So that's great to hear that. Thank you so much. And then I think we should maybe ask about the tutor support then, since we've heard about the academic directors and the tutor support. So Lucy, how much tutor support do you receive as a learner?
So as I said, I completed it last year, and we were divided as a group into two. We were split into two, and each group was assigned a personal tutor. And the format of my course last year was such that we had 3 assignments that we had to do. So we'd have our residential weekend, which was amazing. It was yeah, really full on and quite intense, but an exceptionally uplifting and enriching educational experience. And then following that residential, we would then have a follow-up tutorial with our personal tutor online, and then have time to complete the assignments. And I found this, so I, like Joy, it's already on the pathway for me in terms of my own career development. I'm a writer and a poet, and I'd done an MA in creative writing, and this course, like Joy said, there's no other one like it out there. So it was kind of truly unique. And yeah, the tutors were so supportive and encouraging, and as a group we were from such an array of backgrounds. Not everyone had kind of studied creative writing or were even necessarily writers. There were lots of actual teachers on our course. There were even a couple of academics who were working in STEM subjects but wanted to bring creative writing into their own practice. So yeah, we had an exceptionally supportive group, and then the tutors just really added to that. And I found as well that also, so on each of residential, there were also guest speakers and guest lecturers, and they were often on hand kind of post their lecture to chat to us and encourage us, and were really generous in sharing of their knowledge and their wisdom and advice.
Fantastic. Fantastic, thank you. And from the philosophy side, Dulcie, what was your experience with the level of support that you received from your tutor, please?
Yeah, I mean, on the philosophy side, I'd second what Lucy says about her experience. I think, you know, the course director, Alex, is just brilliant, extremely energetic and passionate about his subject and very knowledgeable. And that makes him very fun to be around and to listen to and to talk to and with. You know, the instructor's general knowledge and experience and engagement has just been just so encouraging. You know, it's just makes it so accessible, especially if you step away from, you know, academia for some time and then coming back, you know, it can be quite a shock to the system. So yeah, it's just been just really comforting, actually. I've really found it fun. So yeah, I would say extremely supportive community from the instructors, from the teachers, and actually to the students, the cohort, because we're all in the same sort of like bucket, really. We're all coming in with our own backgrounds and own you know, life experiences, and you know, but at the same time we have this in common. So it's that has really just gelled us, and it creates for a great support network. So it's been really fun. And I think, yeah, I think the staff's been great.
Excellent, thank you, Dulcie. So just talking then about the student community, Joy, how would you describe the student community around your studies? Particularly, I think, Lucy, you mentioned about residentials and how much you got out of those. So what's the student community like outside of those sort of organised sessions?
Well, we sort of all naturally created a WhatsApp group. We're on it quite a lot, actually. You know, if somebody's got something to celebrate with their writing, or, you know, if somebody has a question about an essay, or, you know, something else. So we're kind of, you know, regularly, you know, commenting and talking to one another about things outside. And that's lovely. But, you know, obviously you spend most of the time on that intensive weekend together. And because you're all in the same boat, you know, you're all on the same side, you form quite a strong bond very, very quickly. And also with the tutors as well. You know, it's definitely not an us and them. It's, you know, you're really, really fond of the tutors quite quickly. And I found them, you know, very available. Lucy, I know you had a tutorial, but we were offered another tutorial after our essays. We had a tutorial beforehand, one afterwards to discuss it. So I thought that was incredibly generous, and you know, I felt they were really very available to us.
Excellent, thank you. So you said that you have sort of a support group through your peers in WhatsApp. So even though you're taught online, apart from the residential part, do you feel that there's enough of a student community and enough support between peers as learners? Maybe I could ask Moad, please.
Yeah, so can you repeat the question? You just broke a bit for me there.
Oh,
So,
apologies. Yeah, so just thinking about the student community and following on from what Joy was saying about having a WhatsApp group, that there's constant communication even outside the organised learning sessions, so whether that be online or whether that be residentials. Do you feel that there's lots of support between peers, and it's you know, despite the fact that quite a bit of teaching is online, do you feel that you've got that support network between peers and that kind of sense of community?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think the residentials have helped quite a bit with that. So it has been fascinating to like meet people from various different backgrounds, from various different places, even from different countries, even all coming from various different backgrounds. Every other person you meet is doing something completely different for their profession. So that has been fascinating. But another aspect of it has been like how various people have different interests in this broad area that's philosophy. And like I mentioned, the program has an inbuilt flexibility to it. So people that allows people to explore their own particular interests. So especially like the second residential, I was having a bunch of discussions with people on the essays that they wrote. And I noticed that like everybody had brought in their own particular interest, research interest into the essays, and which was really fascinating. Certain areas of philosophy that I've never heard about I came across because of other students. Yeah, so yeah, it's been pretty interesting. I think the wide range of people in terms of the backgrounds has been really fascinating, and I think that has led to really fruitful discussions, and even intrigued me to explore certain areas of philosophy now because of those discussions.
Excellent, thank you. And I think you answered Hugh's question in the Q&A there that was about the flexibility and being able to sort of pursue your own kind of interest area as well. And is that the same in the teaching for creative writing? Is there some flexibility within that as well? Maybe I could ask Lucy about that.
Yes, so we obviously there was the kind of different modules which were according to different themes, but then in terms of when it came to the actual assignments, so one of them was designing our own course, and that was one of my most favourite in assignments, actually, because you just got to follow your own interest and really kind of interrogate and explore that, and then obviously the beauty of one of the big standouts for me in terms of the course was the way that they actually assessed. So every assignment you had the opportunity to revisit and rework your assignments, and then by the end of the course you had time to kind of revise your portfolio and revisit it. Obviously can't speak for the philosophy course, but for me, in terms of that means of assessment, it was really refreshing compared to previous educational experiences that I'd had. So yeah, for me, the course really pushed me academically as well, in a good way. I didn't feel stretched, obviously, because I was still working at the same time, but there was enough room within the structure of the course for you to also explore your own interests without feeling overwhelmed if you've still got working or caring responsibilities in addition to studying.
Yeah, and that's really important, isn't it? Because a lot of our learners, they are choosing to study with ICE and study part-time because they have those other commitments in their life outside of studies. And so I suppose that leads on to the question of how many hours you actually spend studying every week. So if we think about the notional hours, so if you're doing a 60 credit postgraduate certificate, then we would say notionally it's around 600 hours. That's including your guided learning that you might do on the learning platform. That's including any sessions that you have, but also independent study. So outside of the planned sessions, how many hours roughly do you think you were maybe spending every week studying? If I can maybe start with Joy.
I can't answer that. It's just
it's peaks and troughs, I suppose.
It's more like, you know, as we were talking about, life is busy and you've got other things going on, so it's where you can fit that in. Sure. I think I was saying I was talking just specifically to the PG Cert just about an hour ago, for teaching creative writing, that you know how long is a piece of string? You've got all these brilliant books that you can read. You have the intensive weekend, and you've got the 3 weeks to do your essay. So that is, you know, you've got obviously a lot more hours going on there. You know, there's this kind of like, you know, really intensive time that you put aside. You know, you just kind of set it aside for the months in between and just, you know, get on with the rest of your life. But I mean, it impacts, you know, you're doing this course, and in this connects with the question we just had about choice. You know, you're choosing to do this course. You know, you're a mature learner. You're doing it because you want to become what this course is going to make you. So you know, it's as much as you want to get out of it, how much you put into it, which is good, because that means that it's totally flexible at different points in your life. But yeah, you're choosing all the time. You're choosing, you know, how much you want to study, what you want to write about, what your perspective is on that. Yeah. So it's quite a difficult question to put into hours when you're a mature learner, I think.
Yeah, Thank you. Maybe if I can ask Moad, or well, I'll open it up. Is there anyone that maybe did try to set an amount every week and commit to that, or did you just find that it was peaks and troughs like Joy? Moad?
Yeah, I think I can try and answer it. I think like Joy mentioned, yeah, it is hard, especially like when you're working full time. But I did try my best to structure it. That doesn't mean I always stuck to it, but I tried like studying a few hours every day after work. I usually work from home. I work in tech, so we're kind of lazy. We don't need to go in the office. Yeah, I try to study a few hours after work every day. That does add up to maybe like 15 to 20 hours a week, maybe, I think. A bit of an assumption there. And then on the weekends, do a bit of reading as well. Of course, that kind of changes when assignments get closer. You do find yourself studying a bit more on the weekends. Yeah, but maybe, again, this is probably a very rough estimate, maybe around 15 to 20 hours a week, maybe.
Excellent. And I think this is you know, things happen in life, don't they? And you can set out with the best of intentions and plan a timetable of what you want to do. And then things crop up and that just kind of goes out the window. But one thing that we do make sure that we do is give that plan as far in advance as we possibly can of when your assessments are going to fall due and when you would be expected for residential, so that people can as much as possible plan their studying around their lives. But yeah, life happens, doesn't it? And things come up and you have to prioritize. Thank you. So I think maybe moving away from the academic side and the studying, it would be great to hear if any of you have the experience of the non-academic support, the extracurricular support that you might get as part of your studies. Maybe if I can start with Dulcie.
Yeah, so the non-academic support, I feel that has come from a lot of the cohort. You know, we tend to keep in touch, and just people like to, you know, share thoughts, ask questions, and I think that's kind of like a particularly good thing, because, you know, it's where you're able to sort of be out the limelight of an assessment sort of like mode in the classroom, and just be a bit more casual about certain topics and things that you might not be sure about. Also, I've seen, but I haven't been to any yet, just talking completely non-academic now, that ICE hosts these dinners. I don't know if you've talked about that yet, but they host these dinners where people can go on an evening, I think during the week, several times a year, and just meet other people on other courses. And I'm actually speaking with a peer who is interested in coming to the March dinner that I'm hoping to be able to come to as well. So that could be fun. And just meet other people on other subjects, not necessarily philosophy, but just a network, as it were.
Excellent. And Joy?
Well, I would say, you know, the university library is amazing, and they're supportive in any way, and also you have that access through Shibboleth to the rest of the world, so you get kind of as much kind of reading as you want, and access to books and journals and articles. Also, as part of the university, you then have access to all the events of the university. So for example, they had a sort of an open edit at Pembroke College with Richard Beard and Margaret Drabble, and that was really fascinating to go along to. That's something I did the other week, and there's constantly loads and loads of events. I mean, especially if you're doing creative writing, there's an endless amount of events that you have access to, both online and in person. And that is incredible. That is super rich. So it kind of be crazy not to take advantage of that at the time. And I think also I've had mentioned that, I mean, there's IT support from the ICE as well. They're great and really helpful if you feel nervous at all about any of IT aspects of the course. And also, I was saying in the other session that, actually just doing the certificate in creative writing, you can go to different places and say, I'm doing the certificate. I'd really like to do a course for your teacher writing, so that I get better at my teaching, and it opens doors. And people, I'm teaching at a college right now, one of the Cambridge colleges. I'm teaching a course there, and then they become your advocates, and actually they start supporting you. So the support network is quite wide, and it kind of webs out really. So you can have as much support as you like, and in that respect.
Excellent. Did any of you have any interaction with the student support and wellbeing teams at all when you were studying, or while you're studying at all? No, everyone's shaking their head. No, we do have a student support team who are there to assist with anything that's kind of going on in your life, whether it's to do with your studies and extra support that you need with your studies, or whether it's to do with things going on outside of your studies, but you might need support. So we do have a student support and wellbeing team within ICE that are happy to support learners as well. So it's quite important just to mention that. And I just had a look at the dinners that you mentioned, Dulcie, and we do have one. So student networking dinner on the 19th of March in Manningley Hall, then one on the 17th of May, and another one on the 18th of June. So these are quite regular events, and as you say, it's a great opportunity for learners from completely different courses to meet each other and mix. But also during the residentials, we tend to often have maybe 2 or 3 different courses in residential at the same time, and sometimes they get to mix as well. So it is a good opportunity to meet people from completely different disciplines. Yeah, so just thinking about how you think your have you all finished, or is it just Lucy that's finished studying? Are the rest of you still in studies? Yeah, okay, so I'll have to pick on Lucy, I'm afraid. So Lucy, what do you think the impact has been for taking the course that you did, the teaching creative writing? What kind of impact has that had on you personally and professionally?
So like Joy was saying, the certificate really kind of opens up doors to kind of widening your own practice. For me, it really was a kind of professional and personal development, and adding another string to my writing bow, because writing is, it's not always going to provide the biggest income stream for you. And I'm just hugely passionate about opening doors for people, for everyone to access creative writing, really. So yeah, it's been transformative really for me in terms of making me kind of rethink how education is, and how it, it really was what Lucy has set up with Patricia in terms of the course itself was a real model in terms of looking at a different way to educate, to think about education, to, it drew on so much more than just kind of creative writing. It looked at really the whole picture of, what is teaching, how do you teach? So it really went kind of above and beyond what my expectations were. And yeah, it instilled me with a sense of confidence as well, that I don't think I truly appreciated until I've actually finished, in terms of not only just my writing practice, but also how you can bring kind of creative writing to a much broader audience, not just those who are interested in creative writing, but in other settings, whether it's working with young people, whether it's working with elderly people, whether so it really kind of opened my eyes to a kind of myriad of possibility, really, and opportunity. And yeah, it's having the time now in amongst all the other hats that I wear to be able to kind of take it forward. But I'm not sure whether that completely answers the question.
I think the confidence thing is a massive thing, and I was going to ask about. I know some of you are repeat studiers at Cambridge, which is fantastic to hear. But maybe thinking about the first time that you came to Cambridge, and a lot of learners anyway suffer from imposter syndrome and really nervous, but probably even more so if you are coming to somewhere like Cambridge. So if you can think back to the first time that you came to study here and how you felt, what kind of advice would you give to someone if they're feeling like, will I fit in? Is this the right place for me? And if I could maybe start with Dulcie.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was really excited to come to Cambridge. You know, it's a great institution, obviously, super exciting and prestigious. So for me, I felt really proud, and I just soaked all that up. You know, I just you know, went for a walk around the grounds and all that kind of thing, and just really enjoyed it. And I think, yeah, maybe, yeah, it's a good point you make on the imposter syndrome, because of it does creep in sometimes, doesn't it? I think yeah, for me especially, because I've stepped away from academia for some time. I did complete my master's a while ago, but yeah, coming back and then coming to Cambridge, it was I think quite an experience, to the extent that it made me relive some things I really just enjoyed about academia and actually the previous courses I'd done, and hence why not just only doing this particular course I'm undertaking now is reminded me how much I want to really continue on learning and progressing on to the next stage, and being at Cambridge is part of that. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I just feel super proud. It's, again, I felt really welcomed. You know, I didn't feel like I didn't belong there. I think that's important to say, because of you know, it can be unnerving going back to school and being at Cambridge, I think. So yeah, I've loved it.
Excellent, thank you, Dulcie. And Moad?
Yeah, so the question was about imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah, and how
Yeah.
did you suffer from that before you came, and would you fit in? And oh my goodness, it's Cambridge. That, you know, how did you deal with that? And what kind of advice would you give to people to get over that?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I started at ICE with doing an undergraduate certificate. So even doing that, yeah, it was, yeah, I can't lie, I did have a bit of an imposter syndrome, especially considering that I had no background in philosophy, so I had no idea what that was going to be like. But the tutor support has been really helpful, especially the feedback on your essays. They're very specific and constructive. So you're clearly told what's wrong about your essays and what you've done well. So I think the specificity of the feedback has been really helpful to develop my essay writing skills, but also my overall understanding of the subject. And yeah, that has helped me get better over time, and is also helped me realize that the tutors kind of know where you're at and what they need to do to help you to improve. So that kind of helps with the imposter syndrome if you feel like you're in good hands. Yeah, so I don't think I can give you any advice to completely get rid of it, but I think the fact that the tutors are so supportive and so involved in your progress, I think that should be something that motivates you and helps you get over that imposter syndrome to some degree.
Thank you, Maud. And Joy?
I think it's, I mean, I came to Cambridge at 18 as well, so I've kind of experienced it at different ages.
Yes.
So I think the first time around I was just too young and happy to notice it. I think but coming back to Madingley, you know, it's just it's a mature community. I don't think that, I mean, for me, I didn't feel like that anybody in my cohort had that feeling of imposter syndrome. I mean, it's maybe different in different cohorts or different years or whatever, but I've never heard anybody talk about it. I think, you know, you're all together, you know, in the first session, you're all grown ups, and you know, I think when you're a mature student, it's quite different. So I don't think I can speak into imposter syndrome, because it's just not been the experience I have felt amongst my cohort. So I think people should really feel assured that you're just going to walk in a room and, you know what, everybody sleeps, everybody, you know, goes to the toilet, you know, it's just not, you know, we're all human beings together. So it's not really like that, I would say.
Thank you, Joy. And Lucy?
So our cohort was all ages from so we were kind of spanned a whole spectrum. And while I had kind of recently done a master's, I was certainly nervous about joining the course, because I thought there was going to be loads of really like well-published writers and people with huge amounts of experience, but we were all in the same boat, and it was delightful and joyful. And I think everyone has kind of commented on, having that sense of really wanting to be there. I mean, lots of people are taking these courses alongside lots of other responsibilities, or they're reaching a stage in their life where they are reassessing or perhaps pivoting or making a choice to develop themselves. So there is a commonality, there certainly was in my cohort, in terms of really wanting to be there. And I mean, the age gap on our course was like 35, 40 years, really, in terms of there were people who literally just come. I was kind of in the middle, and there were people who were past retirement age, so and then people who were literally 21. So it was an amazing experience, just kind of walking along the same path as all these different people who had come from lots of different backgrounds. I'd tell myself, if I was going back to the September a year and a bit ago, would be to not worry and try not to be so shy in that first weekend, because actually there was nothing really to be afraid of. And the very structure and setup of the course, I mean, I have young children, I work on a number of different projects and wear lots of different hats, both professionally and personally. So I was quite worried about, actually, what am I getting myself into in terms of the level of commitment. But you know, you just make it work. And I think if it's something you're passionate and interested in, then my experience was such that I was just so enriched and so eager, and all my enthusiasm was ignited by doing the course, and it kind of snowballed from there, really.
Thanks so much. Thank you. So I think what I'm hearing from you all is, despite, you know, quite a really diverse cohort, which is great because that enriches the learning, doesn't it? There's this commonality, you know, that you're all want to learn the same thing, you share the same kind of passion. And it was great to hear words like inspired, the motivated, delightful, joyful when you talked about that. I think we are out of time in just a few seconds. So I'd just like to thank each of you for joining tonight, so that we could answer questions for the participants that hopefully will want to come and study with the Institute of Continuing Education. For those that are still studying, wishing you the very best with the rest of your studies. And for Lucy, good luck with whichever path you choose in the future. So thank you very much, everyone. And there will be a recording of this available soon. Take care.